state, freedom was relative for blacks. Ohio was also the first state to pass black laws restricting the rights and movements of blacks and mulattoes. So Ohio's black laws, for example, did not permit blacks to give testimony in court. So, you know, if you did hire me to wash your clothes and then you decided not to pay me, there was really nothing I could do in the court system. I'd have to find a white person who knew of the contract to testify for me. Ohio was also very much opposed to the immigration of blacks, free blacks, into the state, and so for that reason there was a bond rule that free blacks would have to have a white person put up a $500 bond. Well, in those days, that was like asking for $5 million today. So that is, it was not altogether free. There were jobs that blacks could not do, and so certainly different from being a chattel slave in the South, but not true freedom. Again, Canada was the only place that offered real freedom. Now this map shows some of the many routes through Ohio, researched by Wilbur Siebert, university professor.
Is it okay to sit on this?
May I sit on
Oh,
this?
certainly. I just want to show you.
At the turn of the century. So you can see it was a very well-traveled state by freedom seekers.
I'm so curious about this poster. That meant that the fugitive slaves could read.
Could do what?
They could read. The
No,
fugitives.
well, that is for whites.
That's for whites to tell the fugitives.
That's telling them.
Okay.
The slave hunter is among us. That's, you know, telling the people.
Okay.
That, because again, you're in an area where you know that there are some sympathetic people. So you're letting them know the slave catcher is among us. You know, protect anyone you may be helping.
Gotcha.
No, very few blacks.
That's what I thought.
Could read.
Yeah.
And that's the remarkable story of the Underground Railroad. How do you get from Kentucky through Ohio without a map, without a guide, with no food? You know, you're not wearing Nike sneakers, and you know, how do you do that? What kind of that? We think about the intelligence and the courage of these people, and then if you've got a small child, you know, or an older person with you. But the most important decision was probably that first one: do I leave? Because again, these people were leaving everything they knew and everyone they knew and cared about. And you know that you're leaving people you will not see again. So that in and of itself was a very hard decision. And if you're caught, my Lord, you will suffer. And if you're successful, perhaps and very likely, the people you love who have been left behind will suffer because of your absence. So this was a very difficult decision. We have a little monument outside that talks about that, the decision to leave being so difficult, you know.
Yeah, I know that Oberlin obviously was a station, and Hudson played a big part. Didn't the community of Hudson?
There are several places here in Ohio. Hudson, the white John Brown was very active in that area, and in fact today another house in Richfield, Ohio, is being restored. The Oviatt House, John Brown stayed there. We have also in Ashtabula, Hubbard House, and it's a neat place to visit because it has remained in the family, and so they've been able to keep the house and the furnishings of that period. It's right along the water, and there's a nice fish restaurant nearby too.
Must even been traumatic coming from the south to like Ashtabula with 4 feet of snow.
Oh,
depending
sure.
when they came.
Absolutely. And again, you're uneducated. You haven't seen any of this. You've never been off the plantation.
Wow.
So
What's that a picture?
this is a bona fide Underground Railroad site, still standing here in Cleveland. This is St. John's Church on the west side at 2600 Church Avenue. And please look out, every year we have a lovely festival at that church that includes many different people and organizations. Inside the church, it's really a block party, and outside the church that is orchestrated by Cleveland Public Theater.
Station Hope, right? That's what it's
Yes,
called.
Station Hope.
Yeah.
So we do that in May, so that,
And I don't know if this is true, but someone told me that in the basement there was a tunnel that they took the slaves to the lake and they got on boats to go to camp.
that story definitely has been told, and also in that belfry, they would shine a light, come and get them. So, but we do know, that is documented, that there were fugitives who were kept at that location. So, again, Cleveland is rich in this history.
We took a tour of this church 2 weeks ago with another playwright, and the rector of the church kind of took us through and said that they haven't found the tunnel, but if you go up in that bell tower, there are places in the wall where they have carved out cubby holes that they think people hid up in the bell tower. And she told us about, they found some stuff with a light system, like this many lights means it's safe. And apparently they would ring the bells if there were slave catchers
Right.
in the vicinity.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's kind of crazy.
No, that's really a place to visit, and certainly join us for Station Hope. It's a day of history and good music and food and a lot of things, drama.